There's more things that I need to be doing.
And that's what was destroying our relationship also.
Yeah.
It was this you mindset.
Right.
You know, such as what Adam did way back in the garden. Nah, Lord, it's the wife you gave me, right? And you had I just felt like, oh my gosh, I gotta divorce this man because I can't get through to him.
Yep.
You had believed that I was the enemy for so long that it was her.
Yep.
And even when you would reach out for counsel, and I would tell you, even when you would pray about me,
Yep.
I would overhear you talking to God,
Yep.
and you venting to God about she do this, she do. I'm like,
Yep.
how did I become the whole problem in his mind, babe? And it was just making me feel hopeless. You know what I'm saying? I felt literally that I had lost the battle because I couldn't penetrate your heart. It was such it was just such a fortress, which was a stronghold. There was a stronghold preventing me from connecting with your heart. You know, I couldn't, and that's where the anger came from.
Every time we have this conversation, hearts are breaking, face to face, but we don't know how to face it. Yeah, we're done, but we're too afraid to say it. Time is racing. Every time we have this conversation, hearts are breaking, face to face, but we don't know how to face it. Almost perfect, but not adjacent. Time is racing, babe, and I don't want you to waste it.
All right, honey. So let's talk. What are we going to talk about today?
I really do. I like this topic right here today.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about it before, and this was a part of our discovery in our marriage that, like, it helped us.
The topic that we're about to get into, yeah. Because,
because, you know, it was just like we didn't know what was causing a lot of issues in our marriage, you know, and it was a major revelation to me. And I found myself, and you also found just ourselves discovering things that we were thinking about that was actually hindering the growth of our connection in our marriage, right?
Yeah, it's like we kept having a lot of conflict, right, in our relationship. And a lot of times couples are dealing with conflict at the surface level and not really getting to the root of what the problems are, you know? And so, like, we even been through adultery, right? We've been through a lot of pain, a lot of trauma in our relationship. But even that wasn't even the root, is what we started discovering, you know, because it's like, okay, once I stopped having the triggers regarding the adultery, once I started realizing, like, wait a minute, I'm healing from that, there was still something else at the core. Like, even once I got through that layer of healing, we kept digging, and it was something else at the foundation that was eating at the foundation of our relationship.
And that was so hard to get to. And, you know, I love when the Bible says to guard your heart with all diligence. And we know that, you know, your heart is not this thing that's beating in your chest, you know, that we call, most humans call heart, but the heart is our mind. And because of everything that we've been through, like you said, it like injected or sowed a seed into our heart. And now when that seed was planted, it caused us to think evil stuff about each other.
Yeah, you know, we thought we loved each other, you know, but man, when we started really peeling back the layers of our relationship, we discovered that there was something laying dormant that was like an enemy in the relationship. There was something behind the scenes of our relationship that we didn't even see that was destroying our relationship. And I was thinking that, you know, you were just trying to be away. You were just, you know, being the old you know, I kept bringing up the old your nickname, your hood name, you know.
T-Roy.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, you that same dude, you know, like, what is this, right?
Right.
And then there was times when I would get angry. I would get the demon mouth.
Yeah.
You would, you know, sort of look at me with judgment. So we were both judging each other. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I want to talk about that because that is what I mean. You know, we deal with these sessions and with couples all the time, and it sounds so familiar.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It sounds so familiar to our story. And it helped us to actually see that, people are actually, everybody really is controlled by thoughts. Thoughts are
Everything
controlling your
is,
actions.
come on. Thoughts
And,
is running the world. It's a
is.
thought that somebody initially had that
Yeah.
turned into some form of manifestation
Yeah.
of something.
Of something. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, our story was we went through infidelity.
Yeah.
And we were healing past infidelity. And then there came a point where, you would be still triggered by some of the familiar things that I would do. Like you said, you thought it was some of me still acting like the old me. And so you were like captured by a thought and behaving from a thought. And then when you would get upset, now I'm on the defensive side because I'm like, well, you shouldn't be talking to me like that. You shouldn't be.
You so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Look at how angry you are.
Yep.
I just felt like we were, instead of us being attached as husband and wife, we were detached.
Yep.
And we had become each other's enemies.
And it all started from a thought. And so now I'm bucking back like, no, you need to respect me. What's going, and we in these big arguments.
Yep.
And I mean, it wasn't until, thank God, that number one, God brought us someone that we can talk to.
Yep.
But also, through, we really started hammering in prayer. And then God led us to, I remember this one time where we had, I know the gnat around here.
Yeah. Gosh.
But this one time where we had a great conversation and we talked about loyalty.
Ooh.
And this was a thought, this was something that was in your heart that you were thinking that, like, you were, we were just talking and I was hearing some of your thoughts. And I said, you know what, that's one thing that it is. I was never loyal to you.
And that came out of a conflict. That came out of just me getting tired. I was very exhausted with our relationship. We had divorce on the table. It had literally gotten to that extent where I was tapped out. I felt emotionally abused. I felt like my thoughts and my feelings were not being heard. And so I felt that in order for me to get peace, in order for me to, have a sound mind, that divorce was the only option for me, and so it had gotten that bad. And I remember being on a call with you, like we were trying to talk this thing out. One thing I love about us now, we keep fighting for each other, right?
We yelling and I mean, we just stay in there. We keep trying to fix this thing.
We keep coming back to it, coming back. And I remember this one phone call we were on, and I just said, you've never been there for me. In my darkest moments, the times when I've needed you the most. When I look back on important moments in my life, when I look back on just times when I needed a friend, you know what I'm saying? And I started listing years, decades of abandonment issues where I felt like you just had abandoned me.
And see, that's where my thoughts were wrong because I was so into, let's get beyond our past or whatnot. And because of that, because of the way we were interacting, even with the anger, it made me think that, no, I am a good person. I am loyal. Something in my mind was saying, nah, you just bitter. And so my thoughts was stopping me from seeing the truth. And the truth was,
I felt like you didn't want to face.
I didn't want to face
any
truth.
of it. Nope.
That's what it was. I didn't want to face the truth. So now my thoughts was causing me to think that, you were loyal to her. You did this and you did, but in all those instances that you were giving me as examples, I started thinking about it. I said, you know what, that is the truth. In any relationship that's ordained by God, when I thought about the things that a real husband would do, and I said, you know what, no, I wasn't that good husband. I had to face that. I was not a good husband, I was the provider and things like that, but I was not a good husband to you. And I had to really own that. And that's what kind of shifted the dynamics of our relationship.
I never heard you own it.
Right.
You had never really fully acknowledged the disloyalty, the abandonment issues, where I just always saw your back. When times were hard, I felt like you would just like, and it could go back to, like you said, you didn't really want to face it. Yeah. So when things would come up, I would call it out. I would call you out on certain things, hold you accountable to certain things. and you're like, nah. I just felt that we were in a fight, man. I was like, why can't I penetrate your heart? Like, why can't I just get you to see me? You know what I'm saying? Even as a friend, not even as your wife, but just see some of the pain that you've caused. Like when we were on that call that day, and I had just broken completely down. I was like, you've never been there for me like I've been there for you, and I said, I've always been loyal to you, even though we've been through, a lot. Now, we did grow up with each other. So giving grace, I understand that you were maturing, you were learning, you didn't have an example. There was a lot of deficits that you did come with. So I do acknowledge that's where a lot of the abandonment came from, because you were abandoned. You didn't know, so giving credit, I want to throw that out there.
You can't give what was never installed inside of you, until you actually learn it, And so that's what we were doing, and I had to learn. But through that,
hurt people, man.
That's it.
That's what was happening in our marriage, man. And I just needed you to at least see the hurt that you were causing me. I get that you were hurt too.
Yep.
I get that you came into this marriage with your own personal traumas, your own personal struggles. But as my husband, I just couldn't penetrate to get you to see you're hurting me too, though. I'm not the enemy.
And see, that's why, I couldn't be that husband that God wanted me to be and that you needed, know. And all that, what we discovered is that, the thoughts were like, it was strongholds. Yeah. That's what strongholds are.
Yes.
It's thoughts that are hidden, that secretly hold, the God's character inside of you hostage. That's what strongholds do. It
sabotages your life. It just won't let you reach your full potential.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening because I couldn't see the truth that I wasn't a good husband. So it made me pretend that I was a good husband. That thought, that lie that I was a good husband, it hindered me from actually becoming a good husband.
Right. Because anything that I would bring up, it was batted to the ground. Like, no, that's not what, didn't I just do this last week? Didn't I just do that? And I would say, but babe, you're still hurting me. Like today, what you did, or yesterday, what you did, it still hurt. And I just needed you to own that and acknowledge that. And so again, going back to that conversation, for the first time, I heard you say, I did abandon you. I was not loyal to you. And then I started asking why. What did I do? And so we had a real conversation, because we were trying to figure out, we were trying to save our marriage that day, flat out. I mean, I had already been like, I done met with the lawyer. We're done. I cannot keep moving forward like this. And in that phone call, you said, I have not been loyal to you. And Christina, the reason why is because I did think you were my enemy. And I want to go back. I want to ask you that question. When did that thought enter? Because, we were trying to figure out, like, when did that thought of me not being your friend enter? Like, we were trying to figure it out on that call. Like, I think it started when I was like, I don't know, trying to hold you accountable to certain things, or let's go back a little bit.
That's exactly when, because when we discovered it, we be having some good conversations. That's why we got to have. That's exactly where this came from, y'all, for real conversations. Because this is the real life.
We talk for real in private.
In private, this is how we talk in private. And so, remembering that, we were talking about where did that thought come from? Because those negative thoughts got to be plucked up. And thinking as we process, I was like, it started when you wanted to hold me accountable to my responsibilities as a husband. Granted, this is where it started. Granted that, you were also learning to be a wife.
Absolutely, hands down. I was 17 when I got married to you,
old.
sir.
So
I was not like Susie Homemaker. I doubt that I was the perfect wife, but I do sincerely believe I was a trying wife, like literally trying to give you 100% of what I had.
Motives, but wrong methods.
Okay.
Right motives.
And explain that. So what was I doing? What was my method like when I was trying to hold you accountable?
Your method, was, of course you holding me accountable, but your method was sometime it would be complaints, complaints. Okay, which is okay. I understand that now, but like you said, we both were learning how to be that person, and so. But when you started to hold me accountable, I started to gain resentment in my heart, my mind. Like you don't see me. You don't. You just don't appreciate me, and things. So that's what I start to build up. And from that point, that's where that thought came in. That you now underneath have become my enemy.
Got it.
You know, and that's where it came from. And I remember us talking about him like that's where me thinking that you are my enemy. That's why anytime you try to hold me accountable, anytime that you try to show me an area of opportunity in my life, I give you that buck back.
Yep.
You know.
And I called it pride. I would say, oh my God, you're just so prideful. Like, why won't you change? Like, what is that? Like, I just want you to be a man of God. I just want you to be the Christ-like husband you said you were when you first married me. You know? And so when we went back on that call, when we were literally trying to save our marriage, we were talking and we had this conversation. And I do remember, we were young married, okay? And so we had a lot of responsibilities. We had young children. We both were working. We were youth pastors. We had, a whole lot of things that was going on. Yeah. So when I look back on the wife I was at the beginning, okay, I probably could have came in the house, and been like, yo, you couldn't have cooked dinner, babe. You were home before I got home. Why didn't you cook dinner? Or babe, you can't help me with the clothes. This ain't 1940. Like I'm working too. We got young children, 2 years apart, 3 children, and I needed help. And I think when I look back, you're right. I think that is when things. The negative perceptions of each other started to sink in.
And this happened with a lot of marriages.
Yep, and it was very subtle. It was sneaky, man. It was so behind the surface.
That's how it happened.
Yep.
That's how deception happens. Because that's what it is when it comes to marriage. Because God put us together.
Yes, sir.
But the whole time there was a negative seed that was planted in our life and in my mind that caused you to be my enemy. Where at the root of the heart, you wanted me to be my best. And so what do you think that other couples deal with this?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, it's secretly destroying the marriage. This right here, when you allow the enemy to sow a seed, that negative thought that my spouse is the enemy now, not like the battle has been lost. You know what I'm saying? And so we're not enemies. We and then a play on that word is inner me, right? We talked about that too. That there's an inner me inside of all of us. Like that is the true enemy.
Okay.
Is self. And I just feel like we be giving the devil too much credit out here. We quick to say, it's the devil. Oh, Satan made me do it. Nah, bro, you didn't want to grow. And then for me, Christina, you didn't use wisdom. I didn't have the wisdom, the maturity of a wise wife. And that's why it's so important to have elders to show the younger woman how to be good wives and how to show the younger men how to be good husbands.
And that was another thing that actually helped me to see where I was wrong. Because, we got a mentor, older gentleman that actually
absolutely
could talk to me. And I would come to him with my challenges, but because I had that negative mindset about you, I would always complain about you.
Oh my God. And that angered me so much.
My wife, she's doing this and that. But because he's a mature gentleman, he was able to tell me what it actually was. Y'all, this is what you're battling with. And he said, this is what I want you to do. You go back to your wife, because that's your queen. You let her know that you will never leave her. You let her know that you love her. So he started to give me that wisdom, that godly counsel, of how to be that husband that I need to be. And so, but through him doing that, it helped me to actually see, hold on, I'm doing something wrong. There's more things that I need to be doing.
And that's what was destroying our relationship also. it was this you mindset,
Right.
you know, such as what Adam did way back in the garden. Nah, Lord, it's the wife you gave me, right? And you had, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I gotta divorce this man because I can't get through to him.
Yep.
You had believed that I was the enemy for so long that it was her.
Yep.
And even when you would reach out for counsel, and I would tell you, even when you would pray about me,
Yep.
I would overhear you talking to God,
Yep.
and you venting to God about she do this, she do. I'm like,
Yep.
how did I become the whole problem in his mind, babe?
Yep.
And it was just making me feel hopeless. You know what I'm saying? I felt literally that I had lost the battle because I couldn't penetrate your heart. It was such a it was just such a fortress, which was a stronghold. There was a stronghold preventing me from connecting with your heart. You know, I couldn't, and that's where the anger came from, the demon mouth, the yelling, because human beings are going to fight, flight, or freeze, you know, to protect themselves. And I felt like that was my only defense against you. You know, I felt like I had to stand up to you. I felt like I had to fight you to stand up for my rights. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, you manipulating me out here in these streets. Like, nah, bro. Like, you know, you doing something to me. And so I took on this aggressive mindset because I felt like I had to face you, you know? And so we were in a real ring, you know what I'm saying? We were in a real ring. And yeah.
It happened it was like this for years.
Oh yeah. A decade. Half of
like
our marriage, yo.
For years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
like
sir.
for years. Like I remember, like it was like this for years where I pointed you to be the whole problem. And this was causing a negative behavior in me.
Oh yeah.
You know, I wasn't loving, I wasn't sympathetic, I wasn't, you know, considering how you were feeling. I remember, you know, the time where it was your birthday, you know, and I'm thinking back even right now, like we went through something, and because I felt like you were the problem, you didn't appreciate me, I actually left you on your birthday in the hotel, and I went to go do my own thing.
You did.
But all this, I'm thinking back about everything. Like, what was my thoughts?
Help me understand, LeTroy.
I was feeling this. I was feeling like you were the problem. Like throughout, like years.
This was a whole demon. You feel me? Like
it was a stronghold.
It was a stronghold, and I'm like, what man would leave his wife on her birthday, alone, on my 30th birthday alone? See, and then I'm 40. This was 10 years ago, and I remember sitting in that hotel. I was just crying. I was just like, Lord, you know, I feel so alone. I feel so abandoned. I don't know what I've done, and it started over some petty argument over. I think we were in the car, and I might have said something about the way you were driving.
I don't know.
I remember. You know, I remember everything. I can tell you how much weather. I can tell you what you had on. I can.
And see that is how it started.
Yeah.
We were actually looking for a place to eat.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned something. See, it started from you critiquing me.
See?
About my driving.
That's it.
And then my attitude went sour.
Instantly.
And then it was your birthday, and then we was just having a struggle of reconnecting, disconnect, and we had forgot about it until later on at the hotel, and then something else happened, and I was like, see, she don't appreciate it. See, instead of me considering how you feel, I automatically went to, she just don't appreciate me.
So all of the arguments, again, were minor initially, just an initial thing like, hey, babe, slow down. Or, you know, we're driving in the car. I'm like, babe, slow down. Or, oh, babe, you know, you missed the turn. And you it was just almost like you didn't want me to, like, you just wanted me to just shut up. Like, girl, be quiet. I got this, you know. And I felt that way. And then it got to a point where I was like, LeTroy, I'm a whole person. I have a brain. I have opinions. I have thoughts. And now I'm going to have to fight to take a stand. And I think that is ultimately where all of the aggression, because I became bitter now.
That's what a lot of women are doing in their marriage.
Come through. Now. We're fighting for our voice to be heard.
Yeah, because, you know, honestly, and it's not, I know we're telling our story. So it's not just husbands.
No.
Wives do it to husbands.
Absolutely.
Too. But I just talking to a lot of people on a daily basis, we're seeing that a lot of couples are going through this. There was a negative thought that was planted years ago in their relationship.
Come on.
Whether it could have been before the relationship,
That too.
It could have been before they even got together, you know, because some people come into the marriage with a negative thought
From the beginning.
about the opposite sex.
Oh,
from the beginning.
All y'all men like this, all y'all women like this, you know. So we generalize. We can have this generalization
Yes.
mindset, you
Yes.
know what I'm saying, where we're, you know, demonizing the sex.
Yes.
And, you know, and I do remember some arguments we've had where I would be like, see, y'all men just,
and even with, you know, our race, you know,
Oh,
just
yeah.
black men and white men and this, like, you know, and it's like, that's why a lot of even black men, they go to other races, and black women go to other races and stuff
because
like that.
the angry black woman, you know, we've been categorized as this angry black woman, but nah, she wasn't always like that. You feel me? She got to stand up against you.
Yep.
The toxic black man, unfortunately, has something to do also. And I just think that we all got to stand 10 toes down and take ownership, you know, for our culture, for what has happened to this gender battle.
That's it.
Where did this come from?
And do, like you said, and do more research on what is really going on in our culture.
Right.
You know, because we as a culture, as a whole, are battling with thoughts.
Yes.
We are battling with thoughts.
It's almost like we got like self-hatred against our own race or something, you know?
That's it. Our own culture.
Yeah.
I don't want to marry a black woman because the black woman like this other race, they do, you know, which could be true, but that don't say you make your black woman the enemy.
Right.
Try to help heal.
Come on here.
The black
Let's
woman.
go.
Try
Let's
to,
go.
you know, do things that would, you know, counteract their thoughts, you know.
Let's be an answer and a solution.
Instead, let's be an answer and a solution.
Yeah.
Understand, you know, be the solution to what's going on, because now I understand that, you know, a lot of women, they do have that thought, but honestly, the thought is valid. The thought, some of it is the truth. You know, some of it is the truth. But there are, you know, black men in our culture that are good men.
Absolutely. Such as yourself, sir.
Thank you for saying
you know,
that. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say it myself.
I got you.
Thank you
No, you are a good man. You know,
but I had to grow into it.
Absolutely.
I had to get the toxicity.
There was a ton of toxicity, you know, rooted deep within you, babe, that you didn't even see. You know, and as a woman, I'm a feeler. As a woman, as a wife, you know, I'm likened unto the Holy Spirit, and there were things I was discerning. Now, granted, my method, I'll agree that, you know, I could have used more wisdom in how to maybe deliver it. Right. But at the core, I've always wanted what was best for you. You know what I'm saying? At the real core. So if I did bring up a complaint, or if I commented on something that you did, it truly was rooted always in love. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing to attack you. And most men feel attacked when their wife is, you know, bringing up a concern like, why you attacking me? I want what's best because I want you to be better. You know what I'm saying? I'm not attacking you, husband. I just asked for you to slow down in the car because I want to live. You know, why can't I say that? Like, why does this have to be an argument? You know, and so I feel like we both have to come to the table, like you just said earlier, seeking to understand, to have compassion, and to empathize with each other's feelings and perspectives, you know, and ultimately that is what saved our marriage, babe. It was that phone call where you broke down and said, when I really be real with myself, because I started listing a ton of examples because you needed receipts, and I started giving you receipts. And I said, LeTroy, please help me understand how you don't see the abandonment, the rejection, the disloyalty, and all of these scenarios that you've done to me. Help me understand. Because, you know, I want to forgive you. I want to move on from all of this. You know, I want to reach our destiny. But, bruh, I'm going to need you to own this stuff. You know, I'm going to need some acknowledgement here.
And, you know, one of the things, just to kind of give some clarity and some answers, because I know some people who are listening, maybe are watching this on, you know, YouTube, and wherever they watching and listening to our podcast. But one of the things that we had to do is to self-reflect, you know, really look within ourselves, because I wasn't able to see what you were saying until I humble myself. The Bible says, you know, my people, if my people
Come
that are
on
called
here
by my name would turn from their wicked ways,
would humble
themselves, turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, then shall I heal. And so that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
I'm gonna just speak for me, but I had to, slow down because we were going through some terrible stuff. And I'm like, I was desperate. Like I wanted some answers. So I had to start praying. I had to.
And you fasted. You said, fasted. We were desperate.
And I had to fast and, talk to people and watch things. And really, I said, God, show me myself. Take away everything that is not like you.
And what was different about that is prior to that, when you went to God about me.
About you.
But this time you went to God about yourself.
You went to God, yep. And that was the difference. And from there, it was like a domino effect. He sent me to the mentor, number one. Got the information that I needed to unlock something just little by little about myself. Me and you had that conversation.
Yep.
Unlock a little bit more understanding about myself. We watched something, from, just psychological things about people that went through some of the things that we went through.
Yeah.
When we watched that video, that was the final thing.
Knowledge is
that
power.
Knowledge, getting that knowledge and information, that like, boom, that helped me to discover what that thought was. And once that thought was exposed, then we was able to eradicate it. And now, it's a
whole new energy, a whole new vibe, a whole new connection, a whole new, level of intimacy, So I want to circle back to some of what you just said. It started with humility.
Yep.
And that was that demon that I was fighting. I felt like it was this wall of pride.
Yep.
And then eventually, I started to feel a sense of pride also because now I no longer wanted to be in the relationship. I no longer wanted to be married.
Yep.
I had done divorce you in my heart.
Yep.
I was physically prepping for divorce. And so it had gotten to this place where neither one of us was humble.
Yep.
Both of us were stubborn, mule-headed.
Yes. That
and
was the worst time of our life.
we were both like, oh, you want to fight? We gonna fight, We were coming for each other, man, and it was a demonic environment.
We both were saying the same thing. You abusing me. I feel like we're being abused.
Yep.
So
we were. I feel now that I look back on it, I feel like, because I'm going to be real. I said, I probably am abusing you because I don't respect you no more.
Yep.
And I started saying all types of things. I had done settled. See, once you allow divorce to enter your heart, it's over, And I remember there were probably 10 years of our marriage. I never cursed you. I never yelled at you. I never did any of that. But once I had just gotten exhausted, I took the filter off my heart.
Yeah.
Honestly, where I knew I was supposed to respect you. I knew that I was being disrespectful to you. I knew what I was doing. It had just gotten so bad that I no longer cared.
See, I want to get to that too, because we're talking about thoughts.
Yes.
What was that thought that you believed?
The thought that I believe is that I have to protect myself.
There you go. Yeah.
I believe that as a husband, you are supposed to be my defender and my protector, but you weren't that person for me. And so because I didn't feel defended and protected by you, I had believed this thought that I have to protect Christina. So I went into self-protective mode. Remember, as human beings, we're either going to fight, flight, or freeze. And I took on the fight mindset that, okay, girl, you out here in this world full of billions of people all by yourself. Yep. You ain't got no mama, no daddy, no brothers, no uncles, nobody to protect you. Yep. You have a husband, but he's now coming at you like he's your enemy. Okay, so girl, you're going to have to stand 10 toes down and you're going to have to fight him to the death. And honestly, I had believed it. I did. And I told you that. I said, okay, this what we gonna do? If you gonna treat me like a man, I'm gonna act like one. I was flat out of my mind. I had took on this mindset that was not like who I know I'm supposed to be. Really, I was, I dropped all my guards, babe. So the mindset that I took on is that I had to protect me. I took on this self-protective mindset. And I do believe that that's what a lot of women are at now. And that's where the aggression is coming from. That's where the anger is coming from. I feel like they're in this fight mindset that, if you're not going to allow me to rest, if you're not going to allow me to be feminine and have peace, if you're not going to allow me to, be
Yeah.
the wife that you want me to be, I'll just be somebody else. And so, not that it's right, but I will say that I know from my experience that that's what I started to become.
That's exactly what it was. And, and now that we are aware of it,
Yeah.
we're able, that's why we are at the place that we're at right now, because everything was exposed. But, of course, just as the husband, I really had to discover what that evil thought or that negative thought was and get rid of it. And so,
can I say this too? You had told me in that season that you were glad I stood up to you. Help me understand that, because I hear some people out here saying, well, you don't have to be that. You can still be feminine. You can still, you don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to have that masculine energy. But what is a girl to do? When if you could be honest with yourself and you like, no, I was that dude. You know what I'm saying? I know what I was doing to her. What is a girl to do? You know what I'm saying?
I think the reason why I appreciate you standing up against me, because it's almost like I became a rat in a maze. And you standing up against me, against that negative thought in me, created a wall, the boundary. You know how that rat goes down this, like, oh no, that's not the way. I know I wanted a stronger connection with you. I wasn't sure that I was the issue, but because of that wall, it kept me searching. Like, what am I doing? Oh, that's not the right way. What am I doing? Even though I had that mindset that you were the problem, it still kept me trying to figure out our marriage and our connection.
Okay.
And so what happened was I kept searching until I went down, another path, and like, okay, I'm discovering more about myself here. So I got closer and closer to your heart. But it all started from you resisting my behavior.
Okay.
And so that's why I appreciate that, because there was always a question in my mind of, what is it that Christina needs? What do you want? What do you need? And if you hadn't resisted, I wouldn't have discovered this answer that I have right now.
Wow.
And
it made you better. And I 100% appreciate, honestly, because of the marriage we have now. I feel emotional, but I appreciate the fight and the resilience of you not giving up on us. And you did kept searching, and I could see the fight in you, and I could see the confusion, and I could see the, what am I doing wrong? And, you just stayed. I
used to ask you that.
Yeah, like, what am I doing? What am I? And I ultimately, at the root of it all, it all for a woman goes down to love, right? Sweetheart, you're not loving me. Yep. You're not love. I know you believe that you're loving me, but
I didn't know how to. And it was impossible for me to know how to love you or to love you the right way with resentment in my heart towards you.
Wow.
That thought. So I want to go to this, while we're here, because this is actually what I had to do after I discovered the thoughts. In 2 Corinthians 10:5 through 6, it says, casting down all vain thoughts and imagination that exalts itself above the knowledge of God, and bringing it into captivity, every thought to the obedience of Christ. Everything in the Word, we can use everything in the Word and apply it to our marriage.
Absolutely.
Our marriage is a holy, sacred place ordained by God. And so at any time, we know God ordained our marriage.
Oh, yeah.
So at any time
that.
there's a negative thought that we have against our spouse, this scripture, we need to use the scripture.
Cast it down.
Cast down that thought that exalts itself above the knowledge of what God has put together, and bringing it into obedience to, the thought of the truth, which is God brought us together. So we need to fight. We need to look into ourselves. We need to cast down these evil thoughts, or even try to figure out where is these emotions coming from? These negative emotions.
Because emotions come from thoughts. And it was impossible to get rid of those things until we actually discovered what it is. See, these thoughts, especially if the thoughts were sown by evil, of course, we don't want to give the enemy too much credit. But if there's something evil happening in your marriage from whether it be emotions or controlling your behavior in your marriage in a negative way, then it's safe to say that came from something evil. Yeah, I feel like the enemy plays with us. You know, he uses our weaknesses, our shortcomings against us.
Yeah, big
you know,
time.
like if we rooted, if we selfish, you know, he gonna use that against us.
Yep.
You know, if we full of pride, he gonna use that against us. You know, and so you know, but ultimately we know he plays in the battlefield of the mind.
Big
So a
time.
lot of our thoughts are not our thoughts.
Yep.
You know, and especially these evil. You know, because doesn't what Philippians 4:8 say?
Yep.
Think on these things.
Think on these things. The good thoughts.
Things that are what?
Things that are pure. Think on these things. Things that are holy, honest, pure, lovely, good report.
Yes.
So he gives us the template of how we're supposed to think
Yep.
about life, about marriage, and at any time there's a negative thought, and this is I know this was somebody, babe. At any time there's a negative thought about your spouse, about your marriage,
Come on.
don't just sit there
Yep.
and allow this thought to arrest you. Do something about it.
And it don't stop there. It goes on and on. Yeah. And we be adding to the thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, if we go back to that day when we were in the car years ago and I might have said, you know, slow down, babe.
Yep.
You know, or, you know, oh, babe, you missed the stop. Or, you know, right then a thought could have potentially come into your mind.
Yep.
This, you know, give me an example of what would be a negative thought in that moment that could have potentially entered your mind by me just saying,
just
slow down.
You're so negative. You know, why you just got to be so negative? Why, you know, that's the thing.
why you got to complain so much?
Why you complain so much? You're trying to control me or
There you
something
go.
like that. Those are the thoughts that, you know, we think sometimes.
So how could we take those negative thoughts that just was injected into our mind and turn it around for the good? Nah.
My wife is very cautious. Her emotions are precious to me. You know, you're feeling something. You know, it's something that you feel. You're very cautious because you're a woman. That's femininity. You know, you and femininity has a certain aspect, a high aspect of wisdom. Femininity, femininity is very cautious. Like, you know,
We
like,
move with grace.
you
We move with
like,
caution.
okay, hold on, you know,
Alert.
Let me, yeah, you're very, you know, slow with certain things, you know. Now, when it comes to things that you don't like, or you quick with it. That's where y'all got to slow down a little bit, sister.
Okay.
Slow down a little bit, sister. Now, you know, hold on. Now, you talking to the king.
Yeah.
But when it comes to day-to-day actions, you know, hold on, that's not clean. Let's clean that up. The germs and, you know, hold on. Let's be cautious about walking down this area. You know, so you are alert to potential danger. You know, and so that makes you wise. It just makes you kind of like, okay, let me think about this action before I go do it. Like a man, we go to we might go to say on vacation, and say the vacation has like I see these things where people be jumping off the cliff into the water. A man is more likely to do stuff like that, but a woman is like, hold on now, what's down there?
Yeah, you know, and some women are, you know, we know on the adventurous side,
yeah.
but at the core of it all, you know, when those negative thoughts enter our minds about each other, because I have negative thoughts about you too.
Right.
And in that moment, I could have said, oh my gosh, this man just don't ever want to listen. He's so prideful. He's so arrogant. So now I'm sitting there having this whole conversation in my head about you.
Yeah.
So I could also say, no. I'm going to pray for him. I'm going to pray for that weakness inside of him, even if it is arrogance, even if it is pride. You know, Lord, I just pray that you would touch his heart right now, God. Help him to see my heart. Help him to see that I'm not against him. Help him to see that I'm not his enemy. Help him to see, God, that I want what's best for him.
Help him to see he need to slow down in this.
You feel me? Like, come on, you know, like, Lord, you know, show him his ways, you know, instead of me trying to show it to you all the time. I could take a step back instead of thinking evil and say, you know what, Lord, help me not to grow bitter in this situation. Help me to just pray, you know, and I've had to do that a lot of times. And in doing that, you know, now I have more grace towards you. I have more patience with you. Like you did something to the other day I didn't like. And I was like, okay, let me just give him grace, you know, in that, because he didn't intentionally mean to do that. You know, let me just give him grace. So instead of feeling a type of way and allowing that thought to turn into an emotion,
I appreciate that.
I'm now trying to arrest the thought before it turns into an emotion.
Yeah.
So it starts in the head, it enters the heart. All right, it starts in the mind, and now it starts to flow through your soul. Your soul is, you know, the emotions and all of this. And I just want us, man, you know, and I just believe in us, you know, and so I'm grateful that we believed in each other and we fought for our marriage and we allowed God to enter our thoughts, right, and purify our thoughts towards each other. And that's why we're where we are today, because we had to cast the thoughts down. Denounce the spirit of divorce, because we had done said, and once it enters your mind, your emotions, it comes out of your mouth. So now we started attacking each other. Those thoughts turned into words, right? And we started really, really damaging our marriage with our mouth. And so the secret that's destroying your marriage ultimately is thoughts. There's thoughts at the core of our marriages. There's some kind of thought that we're becoming one with. You know, we're becoming one with this thought, and now it's ruining the whole marriage now, right? And so take the thoughts captive, right? And replace it with God's word about marriage and your spouse.
There you go. There you go. Look, y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with us. This is me and my baby for real conversations. You rocking with Mary for real. Look, if our teachings, our messages, our platform has been blessing you in any way, make sure don't let this opportunity pass for you to actually support. For you to actually give. Because what you're doing, you're helping other marriages around the world, right?
Absolutely.
Because God has called us to reach the world. It changed the world with the kingdom message on marriage and how to live in the kingdom. So,
absolutely.
you know,
Marriage is God's product. He created it. No one else can redefine what has already been defined. Marriage is a product of God. He cares about it. He loves it. And so do we. We love what God loves. And so if you guys want to give and support, there's two ways that you can do that through our website at marriedforreal.com. You can go to the Give tab there and support, as well as Cash App is Thank You M4R. So until next time.
Remember, if you take these messages and you apply it to your life, you too can stay through it all.
We still win.
Certified marriage mentors LeTroy and Christina Brown have a new book, The Marriage Mouth. They are the founders of Married for Real and have been reaching hundreds of thousands of people around the world with their transparent and relevant approach to common marriage issues. So many people have been asking for the book, and now you can have it for yourself. This dynamic book is full of powerful topics, prayers, and confessions. It's a book you'll never be done with. It was designed to use as a spiritual guide and tool to address most marital situations. The Marriage Mouth. Your mouth is a weapon. Don't use it against your spouse. Order your copy today at Amazon.com or go to our website at marriedforreal.com.